My cousin scoffed, "You're always playing the victim." I replied, "Funny you mention victims." When the investigation into Dad's abuse exposed her embezzlement from Grandma's estate, everyone finally saw who the real victims were. I, 31 male, am sitting here with my hands still shaking. Just got back from the police station. Never imagined family dinner would lead to this, but here we are. Background: my dad was a piece of work. Physical abuse, emotional manipulation, the whole package. Left when I was 16, and honestly, good riddance. My cousin Natalie, 34, always acted like I was being dramatic about it. She'd make little comments at family gatherings. Everyone has problems, or some people just can't let go of the past. I usually ignored it. Grandma passed 6 months ago. Left behind a decent estate. Nothing crazy, maybe 400K total between the house and savings. Natalie was named executor because she's the responsible one, with her real estate license and all. They will split everything equally between all 7 grandkids. Last Sunday, we had our monthly family dinner at my aunt's place. Someone mentioned Father's Day coming up, and I made an offhand comment about being glad I don't have to deal with that anymore. Natalie rolled her eyes. "Natalie, there you go again." "Me what? You always play the victim." "Poor little Jamie, Daddy was mean to him. It's been 15 years. When are you going to grow up and stop using it as an excuse for everything?" The whole table went silent. My younger sister Megan looked ready to throw her wine glass. "Excuse? For what exactly?" "Oh, please. Every time something doesn't go your way, it's because of your trauma. Didn't get that promotion? Daddy issues. Relationship problems? Daddy issues. Can't afford a nicer car? Must be because you're still processing your childhood. Some of us just handle our problems like adults." My aunt tried to change the subject, but I was done. "Me, you know what, Nat? You're right. Let's talk about handling problems like adults. How's the estate settlement going?" "It's been 6 months." Her face changed. Just for a second, but I caught it. "Natalie, these things take time. There's a lot of paperwork. Funny, my friend settled his mom's estate in 3 months, and hers was way more complicated. When can we expect our shares?" "Natalie, when it's ready." "God, this is exactly what I mean. Always thinking someone owes you something." That's when Megan piped up. "Megan, actually, I'd like to know too. You haven't given us any updates. No paperwork, no timeline, nothing." Natalie stood up, grabbed her purse. "I don't have to sit here and be interrogated by ungrateful brats. When you're ready to apologize, you know where to find me." She stormed out. Classic Natalie: attack, deflect, run away. Here's the thing though, something felt off. Really off. So yesterday I did something I probably should have done months ago. I called the probate court to ask about the timeline for estate settlements. They had no record of Grandma's estate being filed. None. 6 months, and she never even started the legal process. I called Megan immediately. We went to the bank where Grandma had her accounts. With death certificates and our IDs proving we're beneficiaries, they confirmed what I was starting to suspect. The accounts had been drained. Almost $200. Gone. Transferred out in chunks over the past 5 months. We went straight to the police. I'm home now, trying to process everything. The detective said they'll be visiting Natalie tomorrow with a warrant for financial records. Turns out embezzling from an estate is a felony. Who knew? The victim comic keeps replaying in my head. Speaking of victims, Grandma worked her whole life for that money. She wanted all of us to have something to help with our futures, and Natalie just took it. We'll update when I know more. Update 1. Holy hell, this exploded. Natalie got arrested yesterday. The family is in complete chaos. So the police showed up at her work. She's a realtor at a pretty high-end firm with a warrant. From what her coworker told my other cousin, she tried to play it cool at first, saying it was all a misunderstanding. Then they started asking specific questions about the missing money. She apparently broke down and admitted to borrowing it, but swore she was going to pay it back. Here's what the detective told us she claimed. Her husband lost his job 8 months ago. Lie. He's been working the whole time. They were going to lose their house. Another lie. Public records show no missed payments or liens. She was desperate and planned to replace it with her commission from a big sale. Sure. January. The truth? They found receipts for a new Mercedes, multiple vacation bookings, and get this, she'd put a $50 down payment on a vacation rental property, using our dead grandmother's money, while calling me entitled. But wait, it gets worse. My phone started blowing up yesterday afternoon. First, it was her husband, Brett. "Brett, what the hell did you do?" They arrested Nat at her work. Her career is ruined. She stole $200,000 from a dead woman. What did you expect? It's family money. You couldn't handle this privately? She had 6 months to handle it privately. She chose theft instead. You're a vindictive little prick. No wonder your dad beat you. I hung up. Yeah, he went there. Then came the flying monkeys. My aunt, Natalie's mom, called sobbing, begging me to drop the charges. Said Natalie's going through a hard time and made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to file paperwork. This was systematic theft. The best part? My other cousins started coming forward. Turns out, I wasn't the only one Natalie had been gaslighting. She'd been telling different family members different stories about why the estate was taking so long. Told one cousin the house had liens. Told another there were tax issues. Told my elderly uncle that I was holding things up with unreasonable demands. Last night, she called me from jail. I almost didn't answer, but morbid curiosity won. Natalie, Jamie, please, I'm sorry, I'll pay it all back. With what? The money you stole? I was desperate. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. The pressure to buy a Mercedes? The pressure to vacation in Cabo? I I have a problem. Shopping addiction. I need help, not jail. Maybe you should have thought of that before calling me a perpetual victim. That's what this is about. Your fragile ego? I'm facing prison, and you're being petty about an argument? No, this is about you stealing from 7 people, including me. The victim comment was just the cherry on top of the fraud sundae. You've ruined my life. My kids are going to suffer because you can't take a joke. Speaking of victims, she started screaming obscenities, so I hung up and blocked the number. Her bail hearing is tomorrow. The prosecutor said with the amount involved, she's looking at serious time if convicted. Part of me feels bad for her kids, but then I remember she literally stole their inheritance too. They're 16 and 14, old enough to need college funds that grandma specifically wanted to help provide. The family is split. Half think I did the right thing, the other half think I should have kept it in the family. But keeping it in the family is what enabled her to steal in the first place. We'll update after the bail hearing. Update 2. The entitlement is off the charts now. Natalie made bail, $50K that her parents put up by taking out a loan against their house, and she's apparently decided the best defense is a good offense. First, she tried to flip the narrative on social media. Posted this long, weepy statement about how her mentally unstable cousin was persecuting her because of his unresolved trauma and how she was just trying to protect the family assets from his vindictive behavior. Tagged half the family and all her real estate connections. My sister Megan screenshotted everything and replied with receipts. Literal bank receipts showing the Mercedes purchase, the vacation bookings, the property down payment. Natalie deleted the post within an hour, but the damage was done. Her real estate firm put her on indefinite suspension, pending the legal outcome. Then came the escalation. She showed up at my apartment on Tuesday night. I was cooking dinner when I heard banging on the door. Natalie, open the door. I know you're in there. I looked through the peephole. She looked rough, hair unwashed, makeup smeared, wearing what looked like pajama pants and a designer blazer. Me? Through the door? You need to leave. You're violating your bail conditions. Natalie, I'm not going anywhere until you fix this. Call the prosecutor. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. Meet. The only misunderstanding was you thinking you'd get away with it. She started kicking the door. Actually kicking it. My neighbor came out and threatened to call the cops, which finally made her leave. But not before she screamed, "You destroyed my family. My kids hate me because of you." I called the prosecutor's office the next morning to report the bail violation. They were very interested. But the real circus started Thursday. I got served with papers. This woman, while out on bail for felony embezzlement, is suing me for defamation, emotional distress, and malicious prosecution. Her claim, that I orchestrated a campaign to destroy her reputation and livelihood based on false allegations stemming from childhood resentment. The lawsuit demands $500 in damages, which is ironically more than she stole. My lawyer, yes, I had to get one now, actually laughed when he read it. Said it's a classic slap suit, strategic lawsuit against public participation, basically trying to intimidate me into dropping the criminal charges. He filed a motion to dismiss based on the ongoing criminal case. But here's where it gets interesting. Remember how I mentioned she told different lies to different family members? Well, my cousin Derek, who's an accountant, decided to do some digging. He found something we all missed. Natalie had convinced Grandma to give her power of attorney 2 years ago. Said it was just in case something happened. What she didn't tell anyone was that she'd been slowly siphoning money even before Grandma died. Small amounts, $500 here, $1,000 there. Always with some excuse if Grandma noticed. Oh, that was for your medication. That was for the lawn service. Don't you remember? You asked me to pay the property taxes. Derek estimates she took another 30 to 40K while Grandma was alive. Elder financial abuse on top of estate theft. We took this information to the prosecutor yesterday. They're adding additional charges. The family meeting last night was something. Natalie's parents are in denial. Her mom kept saying there must be an explanation, while her dad just stared at the financial records Derek had printed out. The aunt who initially defended Natalie apologized to me, said she had no idea how deep this went. The plot twist? Natalie's husband Brett filed for divorce. Turns out, he genuinely didn't know about the theft. He thought her commission had paid for everything. When he found out she'd been lying to him too, he flipped. Now he's worried about his own liability and is cooperating with prosecutors. Natalie's response? She showed up at Brett's office yesterday, screaming that he was abandoning her, just like everyone else, and that he owed her for supporting him early in their marriage. Security had to escort her out. This morning, I woke up to 73 missed calls. Not from Natalie, she's blocked, but from a number I didn't recognize. They left one voicemail. You think you've won, but I know things about this family that would destroy everyone. Drop the charges, or I start talking. My lawyer says to save everything and not respond. The prosecutor wants to add witness intimidation to the charges. The preliminary hearing is in 2 weeks. I'll update after that. Final update. Well, it's over. Mostly. Natalie took a plea deal. After her lawyers saw the mountain of evidence, Derek found so much more she'd been stealing from Grandma for almost 3 years, they convinced her to plead guilty. The final tally was around $280 stolen, including what she took while Grandma was alive. The sentence, 5 years in prison, 3 years probation after release, and full restitution to the estate. She'll probably serve 2 to 3 years with good behavior. The courtroom was packed with family. When the judge read the sentence, Natalie turned to look at me with pure hatred. Then she said loud enough for everyone to hear, "I hope you're happy. You've ruined my children's lives." The judge actually responded, "No, ma'am. You did that yourself when you chose to steal from your family. But here's the thing. I'm not happy. I'm relieved it's over, but there's no joy in watching someone destroy their life. Even someone who treated me like garbage." Her kids are staying with Brett, who got full custody in the emergency divorce proceedings. They're in therapy. The 16-year-old won't speak to her mom at all. The restitution will come from selling their house and the vacation property she bought with stolen money. The Mercedes was repossessed. Brett's keeping their old Honda and starting over. He actually apologized to me last week for what he said about my dad. Said Natalie had poisoned his view of me for years with her stories. The family is slowly healing. We had a memorial dinner for Grandma last week. The first family gathering since this all started. It was awkward, but necessary. Natalie's parents look like they've aged 10 years. They're in therapy too, trying to understand how their daughter became someone capable of this. The money will be distributed correctly now through a court-appointed administrator. Each grandkid will get their share, including Natalie's kids. Their portion goes into a trust until they're 21. You know what the ironic part is? If Natalie had just asked for help, if she'd admitted she was struggling financially, the family would have figured something out. Grandma would have helped her while she was alive. But she was too proud, too concerned with appearances, too invested in being the successful one who had her life together. I've been thinking a lot about that night at dinner. You always play the victim. The projection is almost impressive. She was the one playing victim while victimizing everyone else. Grandma, the family, her own kids. She convinced herself that she deserved that money more than the rest of us. That her wants were more important than Grandma's wishes or anyone else's rights. I started therapy again last month. Not because of this situation, but because it made me realize I'd been letting people like Natalie minimize my experiences for too long. My dad was abusive. That's a fact. It affected me. Also a fact. And I'm allowed to talk about it without being accused of playing the victim. The last thing I'll say, I got a letter from Natalie last week from prison. Just one line. "I'll never forgive you for this." Good. I wasn't asking for forgiveness. I was asking for justice. And for once, we actually got it. Thanks to everyone who followed this story. Take care of yourselves, and if something feels off with your family's finances, Trust your gut and investigate. Better to be the bad guy asking uncomfortable questions than to let someone steal your future. Speaking of victims, at least now we all know who the real one was. Edit, since some people asked. Yes, we're pursuing the elder abuse charges as well. That's a separate case that's still ongoing. And before anyone asks why I didn't notice sooner, I live 3 hours away, and Natalie made sure to always be the one handling Grandma's appointments and finances. She isolated Grandma from the rest of us pretty effectively under the guise of helping. Another lesson learned: stay involved with your elderly relatives' lives, even if someone else seems to have it handled.